Cassia Mistwalker took her first breath on 13 September 1998 inside a driftwood cabin lifted above the fog fingers of Oregon's Yakima Bay. Her mother, a road-seasoned pedal steel guitarist who keeps pressed sweet pea petals in her slide case, played a slow gliss that made knotty rafters hum. Her father, a retired lighthouse electrician who sketches cloud towers on bait shop receipts, leaned close until their foreheads touched and promised a tiny girl that breakers, rain bands, and runway lights will all move aside for a spirit that refuses to fold smaller. Curves run through the Mistwalker family the way salmon ride the coastal range rivers, so nobody fretted when baby Cassia burst a second flannel wrap before gulls began arguing over the tide line. Fancy teased a fishbone needle through each overworked seam, slipped in patches cut from an old bunk quilt, then laughed that spare cloth cost pennies while teaching a child to shrink could cost her every future horizon. Classrooms smelled of cedar dust, chalk, and peanut butter sandwiches. Cassia already towered above her classmates, shadowing the overhead projector whenever she diagrammed subjunctive mood. One wind-spinning recess, a pair of boys circled her, chanting "crab dredge" every time her sneakers tapped the hop grid. That evening, she prowled the rack line, pocketed soda caps polished silver by Tide, threaded them on fishing leader into a tinkling spine, and stitched the strand down her sea blue hoodie. Dawn sun fractured across 100 mirrors, and a visiting literacy aide caught 7 seconds on a thrift shop phone before posting the shimmer to an infant video site. By the next sunrise, 15,000 strangers clapped for the girl who spun mockery into lighthouse glitter. Cassia inked a creed on her math folder in violet. When clouds cluster like crows, fling light until they scatter. Saturdays belonged to the dockside market, where her mother's steel lines twined through steam from clam chowder kettles, the ping of shell wind chimes, and rope thuds along piling caps. Store jeans choked at Cassia's hips, so she swapped tip jar quarters for a frayed shrimp net, unraveled it into flat cord, loop-knitted high-waist culottes, then sprayed sand dollar silhouettes with squid ink and posed at sunset against rust quilts on whole plates, while her cousin clicked grainy photos. She shared them on a new diary called Tide Lantern the very week a photo app crept along coastal cell towers, captions braided Chinook jargon with direct English truths like "curves lash storms steadier than breakwaters." Before her 17th solstice, 51,000 distant friends tapped hearts on each golden frame, proof that bright screens muffle cafeteria chatter louder than any teacher whistle. A marine technologies scholarship hauled her south to Cal Poly Humboldt. Days disappeared inside kelp drone labs. Nights belonged to a 24-hour taco whack in glowing neon aqua under redwood limbs. The heat lamp became her only softbox. Between Lingcod orders, she filmed 90-second reels, folding parchment wrappers into foxglove hair clips while explaining dart rotation in a voice half surf hush, half lecture spark. One upload looped otter squeals on a synth beat, while she chain-stitched reflective anchor cord into thrift denim. 48 hours later, the reel breached 1 million plays. Pacific-style columns crowned her the taco truck couturiere, yet sponsor emails froze at size 16. Cassia slid them into a folder called Shrinking Nets, wiped salsa from her cuff, and flipped another tortilla. A February king tide carried an offer from Patagonia women to craft a spray cell capsule named Drift Pulse. Cassie agreed only after Patagonia signed 3 lighthouse solid terms, patterns reaching 60-inch hips, half the crew drawn from coastal trade schools, and 10% of net profit earmarked for seagrass restoration in Akina Estuary. The shoot unfolded at sunrise on a basalt shelf where black oyster catchers piped above foam. Cassia guided curvy paddleboarders through glass waves while a drone traced spirals overhead. When the lookbook dropped, every extended size shell vanished in 41 hours across 24 nations. Tide Lantern vaulted beyond 700,000 followers. Still smelling of cilantro and lime, she stepped behind flour sacks, balanced her phone atop a broth crate, and live-streamed grateful tears into buzzing light tubes. First reminder, glides in with that tide. Tap subscribe now and keep a front row seat so each fresh story lands before algorithm winds change. One fingertip, $0, locked access to the next swell. Rumor goes banked overhead. A Click Tease vlog claimed Cassia cinched her waist beneath carbon ribs between takes. Pre-dawn, she paddled a cedar board past the kelp beds, stood steady in sports bra and fleece shorts. traced every stretch stripe with crushed fireweed bloom, and ran a lap steel lick that rattled gall feathers. 10 million viewers reposted the riff tagged fireweed proof, wiping pink dust across their own curves until gossip slithered off like ebb foam. Duck wages, braided with capsule royalties, and spun into Mistwalker Glow. A whip body custard folding spruce tip butter, Marionberry seed oil, and Microflex that flash Dawn Pro in photos. 19,000 tins rolled off her father's skiff bench, tied tight with braided crab pot line and stamped "Moisturize Your Horizon." Inventory vanished in 83 minutes, raising $196,000. It's 20%. Launch beacon grants delivering industrial surgers and wave sensor kits to plus-size teens from Tillamook to Trinidad Head. 9 months later, 36 grantees staged a floating fashion and whale song festival aboard a refurbished trawler clad in LED kelp. Streamed live to breakfast sets from Manaus to Marseille. Mendocino Fashion Week carved fresh coastal legend when a backstage fan ripped her emerald mesh gown from rib to knee 90 heartbeats before runway call. She grabbed neon dock rope off a coil stack, laced the rip like sneaker eyelets, and strode out as though the splice was in every line sheet. Camera shutters fired like crab crack timers. Vogue Redwood Coast labeled the rescue rope cadence, and another million lantern voyagers surfaced before the jazz trio hit bar 1. A sacked PR assistant leaked chopped mail, implying Cassia demanded unique croquettes and chauffeured float planes for her rescue sea otter Clover. She posted the entire thread, refillable water urns, being chili for crew, captioned monitors for deaf stylists, then funneled that month's affiliate income, $137,000, into biodegradable shrimp trap pilots in 3 coves. Fans echoed her peer credo, receipts shine brighter than rumor silt, until whispers sank under moontide. At midsummertide, lanterns shimmered across 6.6 million Instagram hearts, 3.3 million real riders, and 2 million unwavering channel subscribers, engagement grazing 10% and rattling ad forecast boards. Cartier invited her to headline Topaz Search inside the First Order lens at Yakina Head. Cassia signed on only after Cartier promised therapy stipends for long-line deckhands bruised by megastorms. The reel showing her wrist scattering amber shards across cast iron ribs became Cartier's most bookmarked clip that quarter. Family keeps a North Point. Twice each lunar month, she streams strings and steam mom sliding fiddle grace notes over a propane griddle, while dad recites cloud haiku and Cassia transforms thrift denim in real time under fairy lights. One episode crested 9 million when Clover hopped across powdered sugar and sneezed a sweet blizzard onto the lens. A marine mammal rescue now sponsors every stream, tagging rehab otters with solar beacons, paid for by Mistwalker Glow. Below revenue cleared 12 million before its second birthday. Cassia leased an idle salmon smokehouse, carved skylights through corrugated roof sheets, and hired furloughed crabline crews plus design grads to whip and jar, each tin knot shut by hand during midday stretch dances to fiddle house mixes. Efficiency experts begged for shrink bands, yet she repeated her mother's rule: fingertips keep legends long after robots forget, and rope ties remained. She threads mental health candor through every share. Cliff-edged portraits beside taco truck selfies, captioned "Same sky, different weather." Free breath loops recorded beneath lava tubes. Printable reframing pages in English and Chinook jargon. Sliding scale therapy links. 108,000 users now credit her shoreline honesty as their first calm code. Community rides glow in crushed moon shell paint. Hundreds pedal the promenade at dusk, wearing Mistwalker Glow across shoulders and LED jelly tassels on spokes. Ticket funds swell beacon grants and install wheelchair snorkel lifts at rocky coves. Chowder shacks keep cauldrons bubbling late because razor clam stew bowls jump 15% on ride evenings. Cassia steers the lead cruiser with Clover plush strapped up front, pausing to tweak any rider's loosened lace. Her memoir, Currents Keep Names, is slated for 11 translations next spring, while a streaming team documents her scheme to convert retired wave boys into floating maker labs for peninsula schools. Puma's wide toe wave lantern sneakers drop next quarter, threaded with reflective rope and cushioned by algae foam, with 10% of revenue flowing straight into beacon projects strung along the Pacific coast. Second invitation slides in on a salt breeze. If the subscribe icon still glows red, turn it gray. Your next liftoff arrives sooner than the tide flip. glide into the description once this talk ebbs. Waiting for you, fresh Mistwalker glow restocks, the lightning gate for beacon grant entry, tonight's strings and steam playlist, and a subtle compass, a research-backed guide full of conversation sparkers and calm confidence rituals. The clearest map for finding real love and the most foolproof way to make any woman feel that pulse in her chest. If the soda cap, spine, rope cadence, gown, save, or clover sneeze brighten your night tap like spill your loudest splash in the comments, then share this voyage with a friend who sails slump in still air. Every curve redirects currents, every scar refracts moonlight, and the Pacific bows to anyone who plants both boots on the pier and greets tomorrow unblinking. Bird and gentlest gust brushes your screen. Subscribe now, claim your proceed, and meet me on the next rolling tide when a new story flickers beyond the breakers and courage calls your name anew.